So you have to take time to really think about who this person is. How can I love this person? Wait a minute, is this somebody I really should love? So maybe love doesn't become activated until after you have spent time in that relationship, or at least getting to know that person before the relationship. Now you've done something really smart. You've activated a part of your mind that begins to understand who that person is and how they can affect you, and if you actually should enter into a relationship. So now that love has a place that it could possibly occupy, because you know the person, you spend time with the person knows you, they spend time with you. Do you fit? Are you a couple? If so, let's talk about it. Or maybe this person may not be the right person for me. I'm glad we didn't make this commitment yet, because I'm learning some things that I might not really want to be in my long-term existence.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Asian Dating Podcast. I'm your host, May Bugenhagen. I am a matchmaker. I own 2 Asian matchmakers, and I'm always looking to help the women out there. So if you're looking to date and you want to be part of my database, please go to 2asianmatchmakers.com. Today, I have a special guest, and we're going to talk about love. Of course, right? This is a dating podcast. I have Tony Dee with me. He is an educator, a dynamic thought leader, and relationship innovator poised to revolutionize the way we approach love. As the founder of Bypass Coaching at truelovedating.online and author of the transformative book, Your Case for Love, Tony empowers individuals to navigate the complexities of modern relationships, bypass toxic patterns, and unlock the secrets to lasting happiness. Welcome to the show, Tony Dee. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Yes. I know when we talked a little bit off camera, we were talking about the word love, right? And how sometimes we tend to use the word love kind of loosely. Can you elaborate a little bit about what your program does and what you believe love is and all that good stuff?
Well, the program is designed to help people identify who that person they really want is. You know, a lot of times people look at somebody and it's, ooh, I love them, or they have never talked to the person. They just caught this eye, this visual, and the person fit their desire, and they want to have that person. But that's a desire. That's actually not love. That's, you know, and you can take it to the next level. It could be an obsession. But true love is actually taking good care of that person that you commit to. Now that true love is actually activated after the commitment, because you can't, like I said, love is that it comes from that commitment, but it's actionable. It's action steps. I can share it with you if you like, but it's so practical. It's just real. And if you imagine, if you walk down the aisle, hand in hand with you know, you're at the end of the aisle with the person that's going to marry you, and you say, okay, I do. And later on that night, you get to the hotel room, or get to the vacation room, or get to the wherever room you go into. And before you got there, you had, oh, I can't wait to get to this room in your mind. It's either that side or the other side that says, I'm going to take the best care of her that I can, or of him. Which side do you think will help make that relationship last the longest? It's the side that says we're going to take good care of each other. Not who we're going to do so good in bed. That's only about 4% of our time. So if you spend all your mind on 4% of your time, what are you going to do with the other 96% of your time? So you have to take time to really think about who this person is. How can I love this person? Wait a minute, is this somebody I really should love? So maybe love doesn't become activated until after you have spent time in that relationship, or at least getting to know that person before the relationship. Now you've done something really smart. You've activated a part of your mind that begins to understand who that person is and how they can affect you, and if you actually should enter into a relationship. So now that love has a place that it could possibly occupy, because you know the person, you spend time with the person knows you, they spend time with you. Do you fit? Are you a couple? If so, let's talk about it and have what we call those conversations. that put that topic there to pick up later on so that you can pick it up later on and consider those points in the middle. That are these viable points to me? Or do these really satisfy my soul? Is this something that I really want to keep in my mind? Or maybe this person may not be the right person for me. I'm glad we didn't make this commitment yet because I'm learning some things that I might not really want to be in my long-term existence. So that's pretty much what love, real love, is about. It's not this ooey, 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 I'm electrified, I want to get to bed. No. and that's, I can understand it from a juvenile perspective. But that means that the children haven't taken time. They haven't had the time to learn a lot about this thing we call love, especially true love.
So are you saying that mature love is the love of wanting to take care of somebody and help them versus this crush or just this desire to be with that person? Like all this chemistry is off the charts. Like that's not really love. That's more lust.
Yeah,
Love
that's
is
lust.
more, right.
Exactly. And here, let me dispel that too. Now that we're on the topic, because lust is a gift. We humans have come equipped with everything we need to survive in this earth. With everything. Being part of that, we have allowed some body, some place. I guess what was happening was it was being, because it was put in front, because it was so electrifying. So people started, attracting and attracting and acting on it and acting on it. And so let's tamp this down. I'm sure somebody said, let's make lust a demon, but it's not. It's the first tool to that commitment. As you attract to that person, then you take time to get to know the person. That lust starts to mellow out. It probably will never die down because you're with the person you're attracted to. So that's not the whole point. Lust is there so that you can attract to that person. That's what that ooey gooey stuff is. That's all it is.
That's right. That's right. I love it. I love it. Now, tell me a little bit about how you got started on this path. Like, did something happen as you drove your daughter to and from college? Like, is that how your whole career started with coaching?
She was an engineer in this process. That she was just a listener. I've never met anybody like my daughter, and nobody's probably never met anybody like their daughter either. But she was one person that I've never seen anybody else do this. She listened to everything I taught her. She followed every step. I taught her how to get a good man. I taught her what true love is, and she followed every step of the way. I'm like, wait a minute. So I married her and her husband. And I asked her husband before I married him, I said, how long have you known my daughter? Which I told her before. You don't start dating before 6 months. You have to know the person, spend time with them, get to know who they are, have all the friends you want, but don't sleep with them. Don't know none of this kissing stuff. Just be real with them. Just talk, get to know them, let them be genuine. Care about each other's feelings. What are you doing? Where are you going tomorrow? What are you studying? Those type of things. She did everything to the T and married the greatest guy I could imagine. She called me one day and said, Dad, I met the guy you're looking for. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not gonna marry. But I was so happy she found this guy, the greatest guy she could imagine, a robotics engineer, the guy's super smart. But I look back and I said, wait a minute, I taught her these things and I never applied it to myself. Yeah, love, I live in love. That's my everyday lifestyle. Caring about people, taking the best care of, taking care of the well-being of people, in expressing my interest in people's well-being. But I had most of the worst relationships I could ever imagine, only because I chose the wrong person. I didn't take time to get to know the person before I married the person or before we started dating. Now, I wrote everything down. I went back and, like I said, grabbed my daughter's instructions, wrote them down. I said, you better follow this yourself. So I did. I did everything that I told her to do. I might have left out a couple of things, a few things. But that's how I met my wife. And we've been together ever since, 15 years now. And we've been happily married all 15 years.
So, what were some of those lessons that you taught your daughter that you finally said, you know what, I need to apply this myself to my own search for my love? Like, what were some of these lessons that you learned?
Well, number one is believe the person when they tell you who they are. And they may not say, this is who I am, but they're going to tell you their story. And within that story, if anything bothers you in that story, you need to, hey, it's been good knowing you, or you'll be a good friend, but we're not going to date. You know, it may not come out that way, but you need to look for those signs. The first thing, I was with meeting a lady once, and I was in my dating days, and she told me she had knocked a woman off a bar stool. And, I kind of let it float out of my mind. I really didn't pay a whole lot of attention because she treated me nice. I'm like, okay, so that's not. A few weeks later, she was at the top of her lungs at me, and I was headed out the door, getting my U-Haul and all my equipment up out of the house because that's not something I entertain. I don't believe in yelling and screaming at each other as a couple. That's not a strong point for couples. It's about sitting down, having conversations, intellectual conversations. One of the things that I taught my daughter, one of the other lessons, was know what you want in a relationship. Know what you don't want in a relationship. So the big sign I put on my profile was, can you have a conversation with me about something we disagree with all the way to the end where we can get to the solution without yelling and screaming? I bet I went through 100 or more people that said, no, I can't do that. One person said, yes, I'm married to her today. Those
Okay.
are two of the main lessons.
So basically, before you go online and start dating, you're saying you need to look in the mirror and know exactly what you're looking for before you can even try to find that person, right? Like, how would you
Exactly.
be able to find them if you don't even know or haven't sat down and put it on paper yet? So,
Yeah, it's like first you know yourself, get to know yourself. Who are you? Take one of these personality tests. I like 16 personalities. Matter of fact, I suggest that. But get to know who you are, and then compare that to the possibility of others. Look at what's possible in their psyche. And most of these tests have that comparison of mindsets. What this personality is. NG, NJ, NF. I think that's what I am.
yeah.
INJF or something like that. But go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that you said you've been married 15 years now. How
Yeah.
has dating changed from 15 years ago until now as you're coaching people trying
You
to
know,
find love?
I think what happened is, 15 years ago, we were online in our early life, in online life. And there was no hurry up and get to it. I think people still had the mentality that we're going to date. We're going to take time to get to know each other. Um, but now I think people just, you have Tinder and so many other websites that says, okay, let's just get to it tonight. And I might not see you again tomorrow or the next day or the next week, but we're just going to go and get it on, and that's going to be it. We're happy. And so I don't know. That may make some people happy. I couldn't do that because, it's just certain people I think are stationary minded or commitment minded, and I'm just one of those. I like to know I have a solid foundation. We trust each other. We love each other. We take care of each other, and that's pretty much it. You know. Um, you have another question.
Yeah, True Love Dating dot online, that is a platform for musicians who are serious, right? Who want to
Yes.
find love, who are looking for a high level potential match on there. So it's not for the lackadaisical dater who just wants to hook up, right? Like it's for serious minded individuals, would you say?
Exactly, exactly. There's a line on it that if you're serious about finding that right person in your life, then came to the right site. And
Mhm.
so exactly right. That is the motto and the mission of this site is to help people that really want somebody serious in their life to first calm yourself down, get to know who you are, get to know who you want, and then get to know people. Meet people, just talk. And with those meetings, then you can, and I believe it's important to let people know we're just friends. I just want to meet and be friends at the time, get to know you. And after a period of time, we should know whether we should be connected or whether we should just remain friends or whether we should cut it out, period. You know, some people might irritate the daylights out of of someone. And so that don't mean you should hold on, let it go, you know.
So, are you saying that when people first meet, kind of like what your daughter did, you should just be friends with somebody for 6 months before you even think about being romantically involved?
Well, I told her 6 months to 5 years.
Oh, wow.
When I asked her husband how long they had known each other, he said 5 years. So it really calmed me down. I was relaxing and let me know that really confirmed that my daughter had listened and done everything I told her. And you know, I'm sure there was some, Dad, you don't know that you don't need to know this type of stuff happening, but you know, she made a good choice. She made a good choice. And I'm glad I was there to coach her so that I could learn what I taught her and reapply it and give it to other people.
So, how did you and your wife meet? Did you meet online or did you meet at church? What, at the grocery store? How did you meet?
You know, what's funny is when we met, we realized we were doing the same thing. We both had put a list of qualities we wanted and things we didn't want in the other person. And so when we met, we had our list, comparing our list. We were online, and she was in Michigan, and I was in Kentucky. I had been running an organization, but the organization, I forget what happened exactly. But anyway, she was coming to Kentucky. She said, "You want to meet?" We agreed to meet, and we've been together ever since. Online, matched the lines, matched the list, and we knew we were at that point.
So, you guys lived in different states. What do you think is successful for two people who live on the opposite ends of the US? Like, what do they have to do to keep the long distance relationship alive and keep the sparks going and the friendship going? Like, what are some things you suggest for long distance daters?
Well, for me, it was like I looked at my wife, and I knew at that point, this is my wife right there. She was, to me, she was one good looking woman. She had the most beautiful smile I'd seen. And her shape, she was like the perfect shape woman. And it was funny, she had dyed her hair. I think her hair was blonde at the time. I had put in my bio, I want to meet a redhead. I had a dream that I married a lady, and I'll tell you the answer to your question in just a minute, but I had a dream I married a lady with gray streaks in her hair. When she told me she was dyeing her hair, I said, "I like natural. Would you please, if you don't mind, it's okay for me if you don't dye your hair. I don't need to see any of that. You know, I like to see you as you are." Turns out she had red hair and gray streaks. How how coincident or how universally set up was that? You know, but the advice I would give to people to manage their relationship from long distance would be two things. Communication is humans' most powerful strength. Birds have wings, lions and tigers and bears have claws and fangs. Humans have a brain, and we have thought that we can take into the future. But to do that, we have to use our communication. And so my wife and I, she's a therapist. She's a psychotherapist. What we've developed are these two frames of conversation. We call it chanversation and expectation conversations. So you want to spend time, and this, I think a lot of people get in trouble because they don't have expectation conversations. And so you want to talk about the things that you expect in life, because here's the fact. Nobody was raised in the same house. So you didn't, even if you were raised in the same house, you took different things from a different perspective. So with different backgrounds, you have to talk about those things. What happened here? What happened there? Don't just expect that person to know how to be, how to act, what you want to do. It's not really going to happen. It has to come from planting those thoughts and memories in that person's mind, and they're planting in yours, so you can come together. So now you're comfortable because you understand each other really well. Then you want to have the conversation, which takes a conversation of the same consistency, of the same ingredients, and you continue that conversation through time. And through doing that, you can get deeper and deeper into the understanding of each other's thoughts about that particular conversation. The longer you have those conversations and expectation conversations, the better you get to know each other. So when you come together, you can celebrate those conversations you've been having, those points you've been making, the fact that you're together and you understand each other so well. Those are things to celebrate by the time you come together. So those are two things I would suggest to do. Have those conversations and celebrations.
So do you formally say, hey, babe, can we have a chat, see what's going on, and get a gauge for where your relationship is? Like, how do you start a conversation like those two things that you're talking about?
I would say, hey, I think it's important that we take time to get to know each other before because entering a relationship, some people go to shop for cars, some people shop for houses, some people shop for clothes and shoes, and spend more time than you will developing a relationship. Those things are not as important as the relationship. Some people may feel so, but another person is the most valuable thing. You're going to share your time with that other person. Spend as much time as you need to getting to know that person. That's the value point.
Yeah, that is interesting. Like if you're looking to buy some golf clubs, you're going to do all this research online. But yet, when you're looking for a potential partner, life partner, are you taking the same amount of time to do all this research in life and to really figure out what you want? Probably not, right? We just hope that we meet somebody by chance. We hope we meet somebody organically, that they're cute enough, and then we start the dating process. But it all comes back to start from square one, figure out who you're looking for, do the research. That's the obvious way, right? So,
Yeah, so people say it's the old-fashioned way. Old
right.
folks used to do that. They call it the dating process. But yeah, and I mean, it made so much sense. Parents were wise to encourage the children just to date, just get to know the person. Sit on the porch. Don't come in here. Don't go in your room. No late night calls and none of that. So it was really wise in some kind of way that, oh, y'all are old. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm young. I can make decisions. I know how to do this. But woe be unto those that don't listen.
Yeah, yeah. Now, what is your niche? Can you explain a little bit about if people want to work with you, what is your perfect ideal client? Like what type of person do you want to help? Is it men or women? What age range? Where are they at physically? All that good stuff. Like who's your ideal client?
I'm concerned about people that are concerned about people. And I want to help people that, because I'm an empath. I am an introverted empath, but I trained myself. I'm a musician as well. So I had to train myself to be a people person. So my bio says I'm 50 some percent extrovert, and no, 40 some percent extrovert and 50 some percent introvert. So it's pretty close split, but it only came because I drove myself to be in that way. But now, what's your question again? Say your question again.
What's your ideal client? Who do you want to work with and who should be reaching out to you to get your help?
Those persons that are, because introverts or people that are shy or people that care a lot about people can be walked over or can mistake a true connection because we simply just embrace who we meet. We like most people, so it's not hard for us to make a friend or find somebody that we care about. So I want to help people that have been in situations that they feel like I don't never want to be in this situation again. I might call it a toxic situation, but maybe not. I just want to help people that don't want to get into toxic relationships avoiding that relationship. That's why I call my coaching the bypass coaching, because I help you bypass people that you don't want to be with and get so you can get to the person that you do want to be with. And that takes some, like the name is, bypassing. So instead of just meeting that ooh wee person, that person that caught your eye, that person that looks like candy to you, can't just jump in that relationship. That's a warning sign. If that's an emotion that you have coming up, that's a warning sign. Look at that. That's a compass coming up, trying to point you in a direction. Step back, look at that direction. Those are the people that I want to help see that compass in their life. Those are the people that I want to help really broaden their vision to the person that they, like I did, understand who you really want, and then stick with it. In my search, I backed down a little bit. I said, no, maybe I don't need to be that strict. I ran into a couple of mistakes. I helped my game back up again. I said, no, I'm not going to settle no more. This is it. I'm only going to know person. If you can't say that you can talk to me through problems without yelling, I'm not even going to try it. I might know that's not it. We can't do that. So yeah, the people that go
Yeah.
ahead.
What other questions would you ask? I know that one question you asked, if you can't have a sit down conversation about something we disagree on without yelling, like what other questions were important to you to find someone like your wife?
If I come up behind you, let's say you're cooking, you're in the kitchen, and you're at the stove, and you don't know I'm coming in, but I come in and I grab you from behind, not, aggressively, but I might, gently put my hand on your back or your shoulder or something. Is that going to bother you? You're going to turn around and scream at me? Or you jump out of your skin? Or how would you handle that? And what she said is something I'm not going to say it here, but it cracked me up. But she was okay with it, and she's still okay with it today. Certain things that that you have a habit of that might bother somebody. Ask those questions. Those are important questions to ask, because you don't want to just jump in a relationship and automatically start getting on somebody's nerves. That may not be the person to get in a relationship with. If that's a habit that you have that you can't help and it irritates the daylights out of that person, next person.
So are you saying that on your online dating profile, it's okay to ask questions like that to point out some of your quirks that you are comfortable with or not comfortable with, just to kind of weed those people out?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. You for sure. You want to be comfortable,
Mhm.
and you get in a relationship with a person that what you do normally irritates them, that's not going to be comfortable.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, very good. Very good. Before I let you go, Tony D, knowing what you know, been married for 15 years now, got your daughter in a great relationship. She found someone superb that she's married to. What are some dating tips you can give to the audience that are different that you teach your students? Like, what is something you could leave the audience with, a nice little tidbit that is a Tony D advice?
Well, I have a saying that anything you do over and over, anything repeated over and over in your psyche, you get good at it after a while. So the trick is be careful what you allow to repeat.
Mm.
And it could be that you say, you're talking, you're having a conversation, and you're about to say something, and they say whatever they're saying. And so it stops you from saying what you're saying. You don't say it so you can listen to what they're saying. All of a sudden, you forget to say what you're saying. That's a habit that you may need to break. Excuse me, let me finish what I'm saying, and we'll continue on from here. Or however you can make sure to say what you're saying, because that could relate and that could roll over into a problem in the relationship where after a while you haven't said what you really needed to say. Now that has boiled up into a problem. So it's important to make sure that you make those communications as easy as possible, but as quick as possible as well, so that you get to know each other. That's the bottom line. That's the key. How can you take care of somebody that you don't understand, that you don't know what they need, that you can't see what they're feeling? You have to be able to communicate. That's the best, the most important advice I can give anybody right now.
So don't keep something bottled up. If you have a thought, you should communicate it, obviously in a kind and gentle and respectful way, but don't keep things bottled up because then that person won't really know you. And if you don't really know somebody, you can't really nurture them or love them or take care of them. Is that kind of
That's
what you're saying?
that's exactly right. And another thing is, do not go into that online expecting. What you want to do is go on to that online, wherever that site is, wanting to give. Give information, give support, give a good feeling, give a smile. Get that way that opens the door to get to know people, make people feel good.
Do you find that people are very reserved or not willing to participate and give their ideas and things like that to the other person? That's where the miscommunication happens, even online. When they're doing online dating, are you saying that it's okay to be open with your thoughts, your feelings, your words, all that stuff? Otherwise, it's not going to be a real relationship, right?
Exactly. I believe that to the core of my heart because still again, communication. If you can't understand a person, you get in a relationship, of course, you're looking at this person, they look good. You want to hurry and get all the communication stuff out and just get to meet this person. But you do yourself a disservice if you rush. Take your time, get to know the person, get to make it easy. Yes, it's okay to share your thoughts and your feelings and your vulnerabilities because you want to know if that person is going to be there to support those. Sometimes you get a response like, that's just how life goes. That's not just how life goes. There are decisions made along the way.
Yeah, yeah. I truly believe that everything can be solved with communication. I mean, just day to day, like talking to my husband, like there's no point in keeping stuff bottled up. I just tell him, let him know. Maybe I'm over communicating sometimes when we text each other, like, I'm going to go pick up the dog. I'm going to go to the vet. I'm going to go get groceries. Do you want anything? Like, I'm always communicating with him. So, I guess that's better than lack of communication. So,
That's good because lack of communication does one thing and it does it well. It allows another person to make up their own mind about you. What are you doing? What are you thinking? How you feeling? Don't allow the person to make up their mind for you. And then at the same token, don't make up the other person's mind for them. Take time to communicate. As much communication as necessary. I'm going to pick up the dog. That's a good thing. At least I know I can't wonder where you are. I know you're going to pick up the
right.
dog.
Yeah, this reminds me of a date I set up last night where the man and the woman had a great time. He really liked her, but thought she was really reserved and he couldn't read her. His comment was, I liked her, but she was really hard to read. I don't know if she likes me or wants to go out on a second date again. And that's where there was a little bit of miscommunication where she was so reserved or shy that he left the date not knowing if she was interested in him again. So imagine if they didn't work with a matchmaker, I can't be the person to, tell them what's going on, but because they are working with a matchmaker, I could kind of help that along like, hey, he really wanted to see you again. And he's like, oh, she didn't really know that she was being reserved or closed off. So I made a point of telling her, hey, it's okay to let him know that you had a great time and that you want to see him again, because he was left with the impression that she was just kind of hard to read. So that could be a huge mistake, right? Like, especially two people want to see each other again, but one person didn't communicate that to the other person. Like maybe she didn't say, oh gosh, I had a great time. I would love to do this again. Or that was so much fun. Thank you for dinner. I had such a wonderful time getting to know you. I would like to get to know you better. It's like we are so reserved or shy or hold our feelings in that we could be having all these missed opportunities, right? So this is a clear
Exactly.
example of what you said. It's like it's okay to communicate with the other person, let them know how you feel and what you think.
Exactly. And there's another thing too that lady or the girl had that she acted on her habit. that's how she acts all the time, and she was not aware that that was her habit. And maybe if that's pointed out to her, maybe she can realize, oh, I've been making people feel. I remember growing up, my uncle said, "Think you better than us or what?" I was so shy, I didn't want to come and hang out with the family. There were hundreds of cousins. I'm like, I just didn't want to be there. Like, it's one that I didn't want to be there. It's just I'm shy, but nobody really paid attention to that. So I wasn't in my right frame of mind to be able to communicate that because I was so young.
Right.
But that's what happens. You get in the habit of doing that. You can break that habit like I did.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, Tony Dee, thank you so much for your time and for joining me on the show today. I will put all of your contact information in the show notes, and you have a link for something. Tell us what that is, yourcaseforlove.com. Tell us a little bit about what your challenge is.
That challenge is I want to bring a group of people together. We're going to have a conversation, and we're going to have that conversation about what we're talking about now. How do you find that right person? Where do you look? How do you act when you're looking for that right person? So I'm going to collect a group of people. We're going to have this meeting. And we're going to do the right person challenge, and then I'm going to give away some free coaching and some free dating site profiles.
I will put all that information in the show notes. And thank you so much, Tony Dee, for your time. I appreciate it. I wish you all the best. And ladies, if you're listening out there, I would love for you to be part of my database. Go to 2asianmatchmakers.com. And men, if you're looking to hire a matchmaker to meet someone amazing, please contact me and we'll talk then. Thank you, Tony. Have a great day.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure. Take care.
Bye.
Bye now.